Hi, everybody. Zen Honeycutt of Moms Across America here with Matt Powers. Hi, Matt.
Hey, everybody.
And we're very excited to talk today about permaculture. Matt is a permaculture educator and author of some fantastic books. You can get permaculture education curriculum in your schools. And we have another video about that, so please check that out. But today we're going to talk about how permaculture can impact climate change. And there's a lot of information going on about climate change and what are the major contributing factors. I know there's many of them, but can you talk about how the current farming system is contributing to climate change, and how can permaculture reverse that or contribute to reducing climate change?
Okay, well, let's start off with defining what carbon is in a cyclical way, right? So most people don't realize that the organic matter in our soils is what carbon is when we're talking about soils. And when we're talking about the structure of plants and animals, we're talking about carbon again. And so carbon really, when you break it down, is soil, trees, all of the other vegetation, and all the biodiversity, and that's it.
So carbon is in the soil, it's in the trees, it's in the plant
It's actually
vegetation.
all the structure for all of our organic life.
All of life.
All of life is based around carbon.
So the carbon that's in the air is utilized by the vegetation and plants and animals on the earth. And the problem is right now—
it's a form of energy, actually.
Right, and there's too much carbon in the air right now. So it's blocking it's causing the earth to warm up, right? So most people understand that. But carbon is a good thing.
Right, well, the thing is that carbon is the structure for all life. So in other words, when we talk about we're burning fossil fuels, we're actually burning fossilized organic matter, which is carbon. So when we make compost, we're actually reversing the process of burning fossil fuels. So when we burn fossil fuels, we're taking long carbon chains and then breaking them and then releasing that energy. And then it goes airborne and we lose all these other things, and then we want to trap those. Actually, when we're composting, we're taking all these separate, substances like the pieces of biomass, the manure, and all these different things, and we're breaking them down until they're all uniform. And what that uniformity is long carbon chains. And it takes those toxins that were in there and largely, not all, but largely traps them and makes them inert.
So the compost piles pull down the carbon from the air?
No. Plants are the ones that are pulling down. It's part of photosynthesis.
Okay.
And so the sugars that plants make are actually carbon chains. And so the sugars they trade down in the soil to the soil life in this economy that builds our soil is carbon from the air. So when we cut the soil, we release the carbon. When we let the plants just dry out on the ground and let them weather and desiccate, they go airborne with that carbon. When you turn it into compost, you're trapping that carbon that was in there that could have just been desiccated into the actual soil.
What do you mean by desiccated when you say that? Because when I think desiccated, I think Roundup spraying entire crops.
Yeah, exactly.
Drying them out.
Drying them out, exactly. And if it's not touching the soil, it's not being broken down and incorporated in the soil with all those things that were desiccated out. So they will go airborne along with the moisture, along with all those other things. Okay,
so when they spray Roundup on a sugar crop, for instance, and desiccate it and dry it out uniformly so that they can harvest it all at once, they're also putting more carbon into the air?
Oh yeah. So this is a real big problem. Most people don't realize that conventional tillage, right? So we cut the fields for agriculture, we release tons of carbon. And you actually can see it. When you will drive past the fields in Central Valley and there's that big cloud of dust, that's carbon, along with silt and other things. But the reality is that fungus, that fungi that's partnering with our plants is making the loam, the soil structure, the actual structure for the soil comes from fungi. So, and the structure is built out of carbon.
Wow.
So they're the architects building the soil for you. And then we go in with, all this stuff and kill it.
When we go in with chemicals and spray it on the soil, these chemicals kill the fungi in the soil and the good bacteria, right? And but they may not kill everything. They may allow pathogenic
Yeah,
bacteria
they actually
or
allow
pathogenic
pathogens
fungi to grow.
flourish.
Yeah,
and then there's no soil structure, so then it erodes and goes and fills up the Mississippi, and then goes down Mississippi, and then makes the dead zone.
And we've got pathogenic fungi, bacteria, algae growing in our water.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah.
So what goes on is we have this problem where it's just our biology that we need to deal with. It's the only place that this carbon can go. Everyone's like, oh, we need to return it to a mineral form. Well, the first thing you do is make it into an organic form. So regardless of whatever schemes we have, the only place it has ever gone, the only place it ever can go is back into nature. So we need to revegetate the planet. And the planet used to be, and so I have these 5 steps. And these 5 steps are the things that are going to reverse the collapse of our ecology and our economies and our civilization.
Great.
So we need to build the soil, and I'm turning this into something for elementary schools.
Great.
So we build the soils, because that's the primary sink where we can bring all that carbon actually into our agricultural soils, just our agricultural soils alone. Because it's not just 300 years of us burning fossil fuels. It's actually 10,000 years of agriculture tilling the soil, of room in the soil. So there's tons of room in the soil. And then the forests, the primeval forests were huge. All the old growth forests are dying right now. All those carbon sinks and pools are being released. So we need to reverse that, and we can. If all these school science programs, their core was that each school planted 1 million trees every year, we would see billions and billions of trees go into the ground,
I don't understand why every
years.
school that doesn't have a yard doesn't have an apple orchard.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, they can be grown, or orange, depending on the climate, but they could have orchards, right, at every school.
Yeah, and there could be so much science involved with that. Because I mean, imagine grafting the trees, imagine growing from seed, and then doing the genetics and being like, well, why is this apple not like that apple?
Right.
You know what I mean? The actual thing, right?
Yeah.
So we are at this moment. All right. Well, so we bring back the trees, we revegetate the plants. So all the growing things, the actual CO2 wants to work with us. It wants to turn into plants. Plants are growing faster than they ever have before because of this. So nature's already like building and bringing momentum and trying to meet us halfway.
Right.
And then the fourth thing is, and the thing we never really talk about, and we never traditionally talked about in permaculture, but I feel like I'm bringing to the fore, is the oceans and all the bodies of water.
Yes, thank you.
2/3 of our air comes from the biodiversity of the ocean, not the ocean, it's the biodiversity in the ocean. So when we're making the ocean toxic, we're tanking all of our futures.
So, and what my understanding that is that the algae draws down carbon as well, right?
Because it embodies,
yeah.
it embodies
so
it
if
in
you
the structure.
kill it off, or if a pathogenic algae grows, I mean, there's certain kinds. I would imagine that if you have a toxic ocean where, like the dead zone, the Gulf of Mexico is dead zone. I mean,
oxygen.
There's no diversity there. There's no
nothing.
Right. They're not going to be pulling carbon out of the air.
And that's a good point. There's all these ecosystems we push too far that are now releasing carbon instead of trapping it. Yeah. And this is one of those tipping points that we've heard about for years, that if we hit this we're hitting these tipping points right now.
We're there now. Yeah.
So the fourth step, I mean, it really is not that hard to fix the oceans. We have to stop harvesting from the oceans. We have to rewild our shores. We have to bring back our wetlands, which we drained. We have to bring those back. We have to create artificial reefs so that we create like an ocean windbreak, like a shelter for our shores. And then we need to do all that crazy vertical farming they're talking about,
Oh, yeah, I've seen it. It's beautiful.
All the way up and down the coast, we need to do this. And then we need to create an explosion of life, because all those toxins, I mean, the reason we're all getting cancer is because we've decided that we're going to compost that toxins with our body. Instead, we could use the biology in nature, and we don't harvest those fish. Instead, that fish gets eaten by that shark. And then and then they all get slowly turned into soil through their waste and through their decomposition. And then 10 years from now of that, with us not partaking of that food, with us caretaking this huge growth event, suddenly the food's clean or cleaner or almost perfectly clean.
And we can partake in it again, just on a reasonable basis.
Within our lifetime, we can do all of these things. Yeah. But it all comes down to the fifth step. is rewilding human culture. So all these 4 things we need to bring into our culture. And then if we can do that, we don't have to go back to the cave days. We don't have to do, pioneer days. We don't have to do anything like that. If we can just build soil, grow forests, revegetate, and restore the oceans and the bodies of water, then we will have rewilded human culture, and we will be partnering with nature, and we'll be reversing all these negative trends and guaranteeing a bright future for our children, which is really should be the number one topic that is any politician, any scientist, any
Absolutely.
teacher, and every parent should be right now.
Absolutely. Well, I really appreciate that you have this whole plan, that you can see it. It is a bright future. There are solutions, folks. Do not lose hope. A lot of people are, losing hope with the current political climate and all of these different things that are happening. Yes, there's a lot of bad stuff that's happening out there, but there are also a lot of brilliant people who are doing amazing things. When you talked about the ocean, I remember there's one elderly gentleman who was going to retire, but he saw that the coast was being depleted, that the coral reefs were dying out. So he just started replanting coral in the coral reefs.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I don't know, 75 or 80 years old. And his mission is just to repopulate the coral reef. I mean, there's a lot of people out there with time on their hands, baby boomers, hello. We need you, and we need students, and we need grandmas and grandpas. We need everybody to get out there and just decide, I'm going to do this. My contribution is going to be this. I'm going to solve this type of problem for my area or for the coastal area or wherever it is. Take something on. You can do it. Doesn't matter if you don't know how to. You'll learn along the way. Like Matt, he's got his books here. He consulted 20 different experts for this book, Permaculture, for high schools and colleges. Just ask other people, learn from, I'm sure you had some amazing mentors.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I've had people all over the world helping me with this. And that's why, it is a book for the world. It's not just for Americans. You know what I mean? This was written with Australians. This was written with people in the Middle East. This was written with people in Africa, people all over the world.
Awesome. And they're being translated in many different languages. So if you have that request, please just ask them. I'm sure we can make it happen. Go to momsacrossamerica.org. We will have all the links and comments and connections to everything that you need. So please reconsider what's going on in the world with climate change and educate farmers and people in your community to utilize permaculture and utilize these solutions that we can do this.
Yeah, we can turn this around. We can make a permanent culture. We can guarantee a brighter future for our children than we can even imagine at this point.
Oh.
It's really kind of exciting. It's thrilling what is possible.
Yeah.
But we have to get there, and that's going to take a huge push. But we don't have any choice, right?
No,
and it's going to be fun,
It's got to happen. It's got to happen. And our kids are excited about this. If you educate your kids just even a little bit about this, they get it. They get it. They want it, and they want to take action for it. They want to get out, and they want to garden. They want to grow food, and it's a very exciting thing. So please look up the Permaculture Student. Join Facebook, the Permaculture Student. Matt does Q&As. He's got tons of information, lots of great videos. Share those with your community and teachers and professors. Okay? Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.